Hey there. Let's talk about one of the most awe-inspiring and terrifying forces in human history, the Mongol Horde. If you've ever wondered how a group of nomadic warriors from the steppes of Mongolia managed to conquer an empire larger than any other in history, you're in for a treat. Grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's explore how Genghis Khan and his unstoppable horde turned the art of conquest into something akin to lightning striking across continents. First things first, what exactly was the Mongol Horde? Contrary to popular belief, it wasn't just a chaotic mob of bloodthirsty warriors. It was a highly organized, disciplined, and innovative military machine. At its peak, the Mongol Horde numbered over 100,000 mounted warriors, each trained to perfection in the arts of mobility, strategy, and psychological warfare. These weren't your average soldiers. They were expert horsemen who could ride for days without rest, surviving off dried meat and milk. Their speed and endurance made them nearly impossible to pin down, while their brutal efficiency on the battlefield struck fear into enemies far and wide. And let's not forget, they weren't just fighting for land or riches. Under Genghis Khan, the Mongols had a vision to unite the world under one banner, creating a vast network of trade, culture, and diplomacy. Of course, they weren't above using terror to get their way, but more on that later. So how did this relatively small group of nomads manage to take down some of the largest empires of the time? The answer lies in their unique approach to warfare. Here's what set the Mongol Horde apart. The Mongols didn't just fight, they flew, literally. Their horses were bred for stamina, allowing them to cover distances that left slower armies in the dust. A Mongol rider could travel up to 6,100 miles per day, which meant they could strike unexpectedly, retreat quickly, or outmaneuver much larger forces. This mobility gave them a huge advantage. Cities expecting weeks to prepare defenses would suddenly find themselves under siege overnight. By the time reinforcements arrived, the Mongols were often long gone, or already inside the gates. If you think medieval warfare was brutal, wait until you hear about the Mongols. They weren't afraid to use fear as a weapon. Entire cities were wiped out, not just to eliminate resistance, but to send a message to others: surrender or face annihilation. This psychological warfare worked wonders. Many settlements surrendered without a fight, saving both lives and resources. But here's the twist. If a city surrendered peacefully, the Mongols often spared its people and even allowed them to keep their customs and religions. It was all about loyalty. If you bent the knee to Genghis Khan, you'd live. Resist, and you'd regret it. The Mongols didn't rely on brute force alone. They were masters of innovation. Some of their most effective tactics included fake retreats, pretending to flee only to lure enemies into ambushes, siege warfare, learning from conquered peoples. They adopted advanced siege engines like catapults and trebuchets to bring down fortified cities. And adaptability, unlike rigid European armies, the Mongols adapted their strategies based on terrain, weather, and enemy weaknesses. They also excelled at gathering intelligence. Spies and scouts were sent ahead to map out territories, assess enemy strengths, and sow discord among rival factions. Knowledge truly was power for the Mongols. Now let's zoom in on some of the Mongol Horde's most legendary campaigns. These weren't just battles. They were seismic events that reshaped entire regions. When the Khwarezmian Empire refused to submit to Mongol trade demands and executed Genghis Khan's envoys, the consequences were catastrophic. In retaliation, the Mongols unleashed hell, destroying cities like Samarkand and Bukhara. Rivers ran red with blood, and pyramids of skulls were built as grim monuments to Mongol vengeance. Yet amidst the devastation, the Mongols absorbed skilled artisans and engineers into their ranks, further strengthening their empire. Dubbed the Mongol Yoke, this campaign saw the horde sweep through Eastern Europe like wildfire. Cities like Kiev, Krakow, and Budapest fell before their relentless advance. The Battle of Mohi in Hungary showcased their tactical brilliance, as they crushed a numerically superior European army using feints and encirclements. Only the death of Genghis Khan forced the Mongols to withdraw. Otherwise, they might have pushed deeper into Western Europe. Under Kublai Khan, Genghis's grandson, the Mongols completed their conquest of China, establishing the Yuan dynasty. This marked the first time a foreign power ruled all of China, blending Mongol governance with Chinese traditions. Trade flourished along the Silk Road, connecting east and west like never before. The secret sauce behind the Mongol Horde's success was a mix of discipline, technology, and sheer audacity. Here are a few key factors. Decentralized command. Each unit operated independently, yet remained coordinated, thanks to strict training and clear objectives. Logistics mastery. The YAM system, a network of relay stations and messengers, ensured rapid communication across the empire. And cultural integration. Instead of imposing their ways on conquered peoples, the Mongols often adopted local practices, incorporating new ideas and technologies into their own systems. This blend of pragmatism and ambition allowed them to expand rapidly without losing cohesion. While the Mongol Empire eventually fractured, its impact on the world was profound. The Mongols connected east and west, facilitating the exchange of goods, knowledge, and culture. Ideas like gunpowder, printing, and astronomy spread faster because of them. Entire populations were displaced, relocated, or wiped out, leaving lasting scars on affected regions. Many future empires borrowed administrative techniques from the Mongols, such as census-taking, taxation, and postal networks. Even today, historians debate whether the Mongols were destroyers or creators. Sure, they left trails of destruction, but they also paved the way for a more interconnected world. The Mongol Horde wasn't just a band of nomadic warriors. It was a phenomenon that redefined the rules of war, politics, and human connection. Genghis Khan and his successors proved that a small, determined group could topple giants if they had the right combination of strategy, adaptability, and ruthlessness. So next time you hear someone mention the Mongols, remember, they weren't just conquerors, they were innovators, connectors, and disruptors. Their story is a reminder that history isn't always pretty, but it's always fascinating. Do you think the Mongols' violent methods were justified by their achievements? How do you think the world would look different if the Mongol Empire had lasted longer? What lessons can modern leaders learn from the Mongol Horde's approach to leadership and strategy? Let's keep the conversation going, because history is always better when we share it together.